Today I am very excited to introduce my Ethereal Aura Style Guide. As someone who loves ethereal aesthetics, I really wanted to create a resource for people who wanted to take a little bit of the magical and otherworldly and inject it into their everyday style, but without it feeling like a costume. Because as much as I love Arwen and Galadriel, it's simply not that practical to dress like them on an everyday basis. And I also felt like a lot of ethereal style recommendations kind of catered to specific body types and felt a little limiting, this idea that to pull off these styles, you have to be like tall and willowy. For me, I really think that ethereal essences can show up in all kinds of ways. Yes, in the classic angelic feel, but also in the whimsical and romantic, the goddess-like and sensual, as well as the dark and mysterious. So in my style guide, I have categorized ethereal essences into 4 distinct auras. We have the angelic, the enchanting, the mythic, and the bewitching. You can definitely take elements of all these styles, combine them, or take elements and put them in your current style, your modern style, to create a really unique look. So in this video today, I'm going to go through each of the auras. I'm going to give you clothing recommendations, makeup, hairstyles. This is definitely an overview of everything, but expect some follow-up videos. I'll definitely do some makeup tutorials for each aura. And if anyone is interested in downloading this Ethereal Aura Style Guide, I do have it for sale on my website as well as on my Patreon. It's a great way to have all of these visuals, these tips and tricks at your disposal at any time, and it helps support a small creator like me trying to make it in this world and bring a little bit more beauty into this world. I've also included some shopping links down below with some clothing and items I found that I feel like really embody these auras, so I'll link those down below as well if you want to check them out. As always, shop mindfully, shop carefully, try one thing at a time. Try the makeup look first, see how you feel. As with any style system or style guide, take what you like, reject what you don't, and just don't take any of it too seriously. It's meant to be fun and engaging and creative. And while these styles really focus on more traditionally kind of feminine styles, I do really think gender expression is fluid, and anybody and everybody is welcome to take inspiration from these styles. So on that note, let's get into it. I hope by the end of this, you're feeling a little bit more ethereal. Let's start with the angelic aura. I think this is kind of the blueprint or starting point for really understanding the ethereal vibe. And it kind of is what most people associate with this idea of having an ethereal essence or energy. So the angelic aura feels divine, celestial, elegant, serene, and there's this kind of introverted energy, yet also really magnetic, almost like a powerful energy too. So with this one, I like to think of angels, of course, starlight, and Lord of the Rings elves for sure. And the winter season is what most embodies this aura. For clothing lines, this one, you really want to focus on the items having a streamlined feel. So when clothing just kind of skims over the surface of the body, nothing's too tight, nothing's too loose or voluminous. So definitely materials like silk, satin, chiffon, gossamer, anything that's like sheer and airy. I feel like this aura also has a feeling of like quality, luxury, elegance, and it's definitely the most formal of the ethereal auras. So if you're not a big fan of feeling like you're dressing a little bit fancy, definitely stay tuned for the other auras. With this look, you definitely want to focus on some length and flow. Like if you go for longer skirts, longer sleeves, not too much details, nothing too crowded in the styles. I feel like it's in the cut of the garments. You can really just feel this elegance. Colors, definitely whites for sure, grays, and like desaturated cool tones. These makeup styles are really some of my favorite. It's a focus on low contrast and shimmery textures. Honestly, just bring on all the sparkle. So think of gloss, highlighter banging on that cheekbone, and especially sparkle that's really iridescent and like almost translucent. You can like layer it on top of different colors. So yes, low contrast shades like pastels and pale pinks, dove grays, but also you can definitely lean into berry tones. Arwen has this classic berry lip and cheek that just looks so beautifully ethereal. And then with the hair, kind of mimicking those clothing lines. So having this cascading or streamlined feel. So definitely like shiny S waves or long braids, minimal layers, but also like I think like a slick pixie cut or even a buzz cut can look very angelic. It really contributes to that streamlined look. So that's an overview of the angelic aura. As I'm sure many of you recognize, a lot of these styles and motifs just feel very classically elegant and ethereal and a little bit magical. But let's get into the other ones. This is where we start to divert from the classic iterations of ethereal essence. So the next one we have is the enchanting aura. So think of a romantic, dreamy, and wistful feel. The otherworldly feel for this one is really in how different this all feels from our modern world. So just kind of like imagine days spent in meadows, reading books, not having a care in the world for what time it is, for having to be productive, for having to be in front of a computer. It kind of embodies a time that just hasn't quite existed yet. Think of fairies, romantic heroines, pre-Raphaelite paintings, and there's a really spring-like energy to this aura. The silhouettes for the enchanting aura have more of a focus on a billowy feel. So it's not like as streamlined and cascading, but it's still light and airy in its own way. So think of garments that would like catch on the wind and like become softly voluminous. Materials like linen, high quality cotton, and natural fibers, and matte finishes, colors you would find in a garden. With this one, you want to think of that romantic influence. So a bit of a gentle waist emphasis, whether with ties or even like a corset style bodice, even though that's a little bit more structured, it still really suits this. Details like pleating, gathering, tiers, even bows. It never gets too fussy though with those details. They're all very open and kind of bigger and just feel like freeing in a way, these styles. And I really think this one focuses a lot on dresses and skirts. It just really gives off that romantic heroine feel. So think of like peasant blouses and sleeves as well that would pair really nicely with this. For the makeup and hairstyles, I definitely have a little bit of a special place in my heart for these ones. There's really strong focus on like blushy lips and cheeks and that painterly effect you can get from it. So think of bringing the blush down low on the cheeks and having this monochrome look between the lips and the cheeks, almost like you've been painted. You're from a painting. So along with that, I'd say more minimal eyeshadow. You could totally skip it altogether or just like softly sculpt out the eyes with like natural contour shades or shades similar to the lips and cheeks. The hair, carefree feel all the way. Just think of windswept, voluminous, and tousled. In general, it's like you think of the hair mimicking the same lines as the clothing. You can also do just loose hairstyles in general, like a single braid or half back, that kind of thing. And definitely curls really do work quite well for this because they have that voluminous feel and oh so romantic as well. Now let's move on to the mythic aura. This one is my personal favorite and is actually what inspired me to create this style guide in general because I did struggle with those more elegant, streamlined looks and felt like I always wanted something a little bit more sensual and almost womanly in a way. So this aura is very goddess-like. It's sensual and undone, and the otherworldly feel is really in seeing the body as an art form or like a temple with this little slice of divinity in it to be honored and decorated. Think of Aphrodite, Greek Isles, ancient feminine wisdom, and really the magic that lies in surrounding oneself in beauty. And this aura is very summery, definitely lends itself to those beachy looks. So the silhouettes for this one have a very relaxed feel. Think in essence of those Grecian robes that drape the body, loosely cinching and revealing to add structure to the garment. And then materials that have like a coastal beachy vibe. So like crinkle linen, mesh, gauzy cotton, muslin. Yeah, just this general soft sensuality, like open necklines, dresses, or pants that kind of create movement through slits and waist ties, wrap skirts. Details can come in the way of cascade ruffles, scallop trim, or even just like raw hemlines, a bit of asymmetry. And the color palette, very like warm and oceanic at the same time. So think of a warm teal green or like an earthy color like a terracotta. I really think of the Greek Isles with this kind of energy. Hammered metals and like gold really works well for this because there's this warmth to it. For makeup and hair, definitely the sun-kissed look. Go for bronzer. I think it looks great to have bronzer really all over the face, like going into the eyelids too, just a really like warm feeling look. Colors you could focus on are like terracottas, peaches, and browns if you want to go like a little bit deeper. The skin, I think, looks great when it's really dewy and fresh, and like highlighter and shimmers that have that wet kind of sheen look. And I think for dramatic looks, you can definitely do that with these. Think of like metallics, like use sparingly, like a gold winged liner or even like a gold shimmer all over the lid. Siren eyes look great with this. And of course, beach waves and textures, really like lived in styles, nothing that's too polished. Like rope braids can look beautiful, goddess locks, slick back kind of wet styles, like you literally just emerged from the ocean. And little details like hair jewelry can look very, very goddess-like. And the final aura is the bewitching aura. I couldn't leave out those of you who love things a little darker and more gothic. And I definitely think you can take those elements into ethereal styles, even though they're generally considered light and airy. We can go for a darkly ethereal look. So the bewitching aura is definitely the dark sister of the other auras, really borrowing elements from each, but having a bit more of like this esoteric, mysterious, even kind of haunting feel if you want to go in that direction. Think of witches, of course, fortune tellers, cunning folk, the deep, dark woods in autumn. This aura feels very powerful and supernatural, but it can also manifest as being a little bit eclectic and bohemian. So as with all the other auras, there is this flowy look to the garments. Like we never want to get too weighed down, even though that this is witchy and dark, with like, you know, too much thick layers, too much details for it to maintain an ethereal aura. Just think of lightening those things up a little bit. So you can borrow kind of lines from each of the other ethereal auras, but make it a little darker, either with the fabric being just a touch kind of weightier or darker, richer colors in general. Just kind of switch it into that bewitching aura. I do think this aura suits soft waist emphasis and open necklines. So just that hint of sensuality. And that also brings levity to any looks that might have, you know, darker colors or slightly heavier materials. Details like lace and burnout textures, hand-dyed textures, and the colors, of course, darker. Black, of course, but stormy grays and jewel tones work really nicely as well. And there can be this slight eclectic feel, like think of kimonos over dresses or like a sheer layer over a heavier layer, rings on every finger, you know, just feel like you're a bit of a fortune teller. Pointed toe shoes look so great with this. But you can add a touch of whimsy with some of the details with the accessories like the bags. For the makeup and hair, you can definitely go a little bit deeper with this one. Mid-tone to deep shades that are earthy, muted, and jewel tones throughout the eyes, cheeks, and the lips if you'd like. And I really think this one suits that natural discoloration. So leave your eye bags. Lean into that little bit of a haunted effect. Dark liner in the waterline can look great. And a focus on contour that brings out the facial hollows. Hair, this has a wild and messy feel. It's not about this windswept look, but more like kind of coarser textures, tossed half up, lots of layers with this one. You can definitely lean into that. So bangs, textures around the face. And I really think that dark, rich, and gray hair colors can look really beautiful with the bewitching aura. So that's an overview of the 4 4 ethereal auras, and I really want to emphasize how you can get really playful with this, whether it's combining the auras or integrating them into more modern styles or really kind of opposing styles. As a very brief example right now, I kind of took some elements of the angelic and the mythic. I have some berries on my lips, more of a cool tone eye that's very angelic. The earrings have that cascading look, but I have more of a beach wave texture that's very mythic. Added a little ear cuff that also feels very mythic. And to me, this is kind of my personal blend that I've been really loving lately. For example, if you wanted to combine the bewitching and the mythic, you might create a dark goddess effect or a dark siren kind of look. And then I want to touch upon integrating these with modern styles. All the ethereal auras do emphasize having like a flowiness to the garment in some way or another. But what if you took elements of that and integrated it with like tailored pieces? A blazer, jeans, a graphic t-shirt, or even like playing with color, because we have a lot of these more natural colors in the ethereal auras, pairing it with something bold and bright. I love a red lip with everything, and I think it stands in such interesting contrast to something really kind of monochromatic and natural, or even just like a little accessory to shake it up, a baseball hat, tattoos even, sunglasses. So you can really have a lot of fun with just taking little elements of each ethereal aura and how you're going to integrate that into items you already have or styles you already like. Or maybe you just want to take some makeup style inspo and you really love how, your clothing looks already. You love that really modern feel, but maybe you just want to pair it with some beach waves and some really, beautifully shimmery eyeshadow. I really want to encourage you to just have fun with this. Be creative. It's a creative process, and this magical feel is kind of, in essence, creative. You're kind of tapping into something other, so to say. And maybe you're like me and you are in a colder climate a lot of the time, and some of these recommendations feel a little tricky to integrate. I've found, for example, like slouchy knee-high boots or just knee-high boots in general are such a great little tool essentially to keep maintaining the flow of an outfit and being able to put like thermal tights under things, or just kind of those lighter, warmer thermal layers. You can, sneak it and disguise it under the flowy garments. But I'm definitely going to be exploring that personally throughout this winter coming up. So I'm currently on my own style journey. I've done a video on that and like how I'm currently changing my style. So stay tuned for potentially more winterizing tips for these styles. And I'm going to be sharing, some shopping vlogs potentially and that kind of thing. So I will be using my ethereal style guide as one of the tools in my toolbox for my current style journey. And just a reminder, the style guide's available for download if you want to have all this information. There's a little bit extra that I did not touch on in this video, so I really hope you'll enjoy those extra details and it'll help support me as a creator. Stay tuned for more videos exploring this. I'm so excited to delve into all the different makeup looks, especially because I am very much a makeup channel. All right, I think we did it. That's it for today. Toasty, let's take it away. I think we all know which ethereal aura Toasty is drawn to the most. The enchanting, of course. All he wants to do is spend his time lounging in a meadow, hopping through the fields. He's a very whimsical, romantic little boy. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching until the end. I really appreciate it. If you want to drop any questions down below, just give this a like or give me a subscribe if you want to keep following along on this journey and the makeup tutorials and more info on the style guide. Definitely do so. It really helps. And if you want to join my Patreon, if you join the Coven membership tier, you can get all my videos ad-free, as well as a couple bonus videos a month, access to mood boards and all that stuff, and again, really helps support me as a creator. Thanks so much, everybody, and until next time, may you all find yourselves a little bit of ethereal magic, and we will see you in the next video. Bye, witches.